So imagine you get a 2.75, a 2.5, a 3%, a 3.5 on your current mortgage rate. In some way, somehow, the government waves a magic wand and you're able to port it to another property, make it portable mortgages. So Trump threw out a 50-year mortgage. He threw out portable mortgages. You've heard of assumable mortgages, but portable mortgages. Imagine being able to take the loan you have now that you got maybe 2-3 years ago. It's super low and you can just move it to the next property. That would be pretty cool, right? Seems logical, seems practical, but can you do it? What are the pitfalls? What are the people saying? And really, can you truly make this happen? Or is it just something like, let's throw some shit against the wall, see if it sticks type of deal? Because look, what they're trying to figure out, and that is who is trying to figure out, is everybody but the government, of how to make houses affordable. Because what happened? Well, they dropped rates for many years to crazy low rates, and that pushed home values up quite a bit, a lot of it. And so now those home values are kind of stuck. And the last thing they want to do is say, oh, let's just collapse the housing market, bring it back down to pre-pandemic levels, and then we'll just everybody have buy a home, because that would obviously cause depression, meltdown, whatever you want to call it. So what do? How can they make this work? And the bigger question is anybody doing this? Any other countries? Has it been done here? And if they could do this, how to make it work? But before we get into all that fun stuff, because I know you want to know about portable mortgages, if you could do it, because it sounds awesome if you can move your mortgage yet, which maybe will be possible. But before that, I just want to remind you, my name is Kenny Simpson. If we have never met, well, nice to meet you. Welcome. Thanks for watching my video. Thanks for watching my channel, wherever you are. If you're not following me on Instagram at Kenny B. Simpson, you should definitely be doing that. But I focus on 1 to 4 unit financing. That means I help people buy and refinance 1 to 4 unit properties. I've helped over 5,000 clients, been doing this over 20 years. Yes, it's making me seem older, whatever. You get the picture. Funded billions of dollars of loans. And I make videos like this. So number 1, you'll watch them. Number 2, hopefully I can entertain and educate you at the same time. But really is I'm trying to take all that crazy nonsense you hear out there in the world, this crazy world we live in, whether it's media, print, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, podcasts, whatever it is, there's a lot of information, and try to dumb it down to make it make sense for you. So hopefully this video makes sense. If it does, share with somebody, like, comment, hit me up if I can help you out. Reach out anytime. My contact information is everywhere. You can call me, text me, email me, come by my office even if you choose to do so. I'm located here in beautiful La Jolla, California, but you didn't come here to listen to all that. Back to the video, and I got some interesting stats before we jump in that I want to talk to you about. Well, maybe one. Okay, so here's the deal. Portable mortgages, do I think they will actually work? I don't know. It's very tough. Do other countries do this? Yes, they do. But before I tell you what other countries do this, before I tell you if it could work or not work, I wanted to ask you, have you ever heard of assumable mortgages? You know, where you can go in and assume them, FHA, VA. So if you had a guess, take a guess in 2024. Let's just pick FHA, okay? How many FHA assumable mortgages do you think got done? 20,000, 100,000, a million, 1, 10. Do you have a number in mind? Did you think of a number? Hold that thought. If you guess around 5,800, you win the prize. I don't know what the prize is, but you should pat yourself on the back. Only 5,800 FHA mortgages were assumed in 2024. And yes, you can assume VA. That's a different story. I think in total, I don't have it in front of me, but it's somewhere like 8,000 or less in 2024 total assumable mortgages. So I know in the grand scheme of things, 8,000 people is a lot. 5,000 is a lot when you realize how many millions and millions, and did I mention millions of mortgages there are? It's not really that many. So that assumable mortgage was, oh my gosh, everybody's going to assume it's going to be great. Didn't actually pan out the way they thought, nor is it just, it sounds great, but when people go through the process, it's a pain in the ass. You have to qualify. There's fees sometimes. It takes 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, 180. It just can be a nightmare. So it's just not worth it all the time. So to answer your question, will we have portable mortgages? Possibly an option. Will there be a bunch of them? I don't know, because there's lots of things we have to think of. But before we do that, what countries currently have these. So let me look over here to my notes because I'm not going to memorize all this. Okay, we've got places like Canada. We got places like United Kingdom. We got places like Australia and New Zealand. They do these. And it's not very simple, but it sounds like you got to go with the same lender. You must buy and sell at a certain time window, often pay a fee, can keep your rate for the remainder of the term. Very similar. Porting is common for fixed rate mortgages, must stay with the same lender, meeting new underwrite, or often blend or extend. Rates get blended. Some lenders offer portability. That's kind of how they all work. But here's the deal. So if you're going to transfer your mortgage, number one, you would have to be able to qualify that. Number two, what if you own $1 million and the new mortgage you need is $2 million? You're not going to be able to transfer it, right? Let's just think logically. So you got to qualify for it. Who's going to do it? Do you go back to the same lender, right? Can you qualify? What's the property? If you have a single family, it goes to 4 units, the same pricing. You can go down this rabbit hole of all these different things, right? Of can you qualify? Same property, loan amount has to be the same. If you buy more, you have to commit more money, all this stuff. And let's just assume you can meet all this. Okay, cool. The next question is, what are the experts? What are the industry leaders that deal with mortgages? What are they concerned about? Because obviously, let's say you can qualify, you're ready to go. Bob, you got $1 million mortgage at 2.5% and your house worth $2 million. You want to go buy a $3 million house and you're like, but Kenny, I can put $2 million down, no problem. I just want to keep that 2.5%, 30-year fixed. Then I'm already 5 years into. I can qualify with credit, income, assets, to single family, to no single family. It's all good. I can do this. Let's go, baby. Let's go. So what are the experts worried about? Let's look into them. Here's some of what the experts are worried about. Could destroy current mortgage-backed security pricing models. U.S. system not built for porting. Complexities create more realtor plus lender confusion. Only benefits move-up buyers. Doesn't solve insane home price appreciations. Agents would need advanced mortgage training. Supporters could free up inventory. Reduces rate lock. Gives sellers more mobility. Helps buyers access more listings. Already works in commercial real estate. So could the U.S. adopt this? And if they did, what do the experts say would have to happen? And a lot of the stuff I'm going to mention, you're not going to even understand. Require new MBS structure. So mortgage-backed securities where they buy. If you don't know, you can look it up. You're going to have to revamp the whole system. New policies from Fannie and Freddie. Lenders agreeing to collateralize substitution. Fees to offset risk. Regulatory support. Massive operational change. Given how slow the U.S. moves, this is not happening fast. You heard that? So those are the big problems that we could face. Let's say we can get past it all. You can qualify. We can fix this. We can get in there and doge this thing and make it work. So now let's look where this is going to help the buyer, seller, and where this is not. So let's get into more of what the experts have to say. Where portability would help. Move up buyers trapped in a 3% mortgage. People who can't sell because they cannot replace their rate. First time buyers who need more inventory. Sellers who want to move laterally without doubling their payment. Where portability would not solve things. Buyers still have affordability issues. Prices are historically high. Buying up requires bigger loan. Even porting doesn't fix math. Lateral or downsizing moves don't benefit. Fees may eliminate savings. The loan must stay with the lender. There is good and bad in porting mortgages. You and I could sit here and have a debate about what makes sense, what doesn't make sense. But here's the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good news is it is actually a great idea. Same with a 50-year mortgage and like that. What I mean is it's good to have ideas. It's good to think about these things. It's good that we're talking about solutions because look, in the housing markets, we need solutions. Are these the right solutions? I'm not really sure. The bad news is that, like we mentioned or somebody mentioned over there, it takes forever. It takes forever to get anything done in the government. And number three, the ugly is when you change something and you want to go do something, it's always a mess. It's ugly, the process. Just like I mentioned in the beginning, everybody thought when rates went up, the millions of people are going to assume loans. It's going to be great and blah, blah, blah. Like I mentioned last year, just with FHA, not even 6,000 people assumed mortgages. So nothing great. So to wrap this video up, all of the 50-year mortgage and this portability has one thing in common and one thing only to me. It's how to solve affordability issues. And if you went back and I gave you other videos, I've already said how to solve affordability issues. If you're in a place like California and people want to buy here, here's the issues that I see from the person on the ground, looking at clients' files, talking to other LOs, talking to lenders, watching people qualify, not qualify, just ear to the ground in the business every day. Number one is if you're in California, most people have roommates or they buy properties with other people. But sometimes we can't use those people's credit, their incomes, their assets, or money they give to that person to live there because they don't want to go on a loan or it doesn't make sense or they have bad credit or they pay in with Zelle, they pay in with cash, they pay in with Venmo. And well, it's not in the traditional guidelines. So what I was going to say is a lot of people that buy and own here in California, maybe they're one on the mortgage, maybe they have a co-bar, they might have roommates and other people that live with them. They give them money that work and it's not that easy to have them contribute to the bottom line or use that money and to qualify, which is a huge thing. The other big thing is there's maybe a couple, maybe a few people want to buy a place, but they have a W-2 job, then they have a side hustle and they have this side hustle. They work 2 jobs or whatever. Maybe it's not straightforward, but they do work. They can say, Kenny, I've been doing this for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, 3 years. We got to get all the paperwork and track this and track that. And they go, Kenny, this is just a pain in the ass. I cannot get all this stuff. But again, folks, they actually could afford the house. They're getting money from roommates. They're going to house hack it. And they have these side hustle jobs. And look, guys, maybe you're watching this video and you're somewhere and you live in the Midwest and houses are $250,000 and you're like, who the hell would work a second job? Well, I'm going to tell you something. As I sit here and make this video, it's December 8th. And when I look out the window out here in San Diego, it's 73 degrees. It's beautiful, perfect, sunny skies. And people will pay a tremendous amount of money to live in a place like this because it's beautiful. And there's so much to do here in California. So maybe there's a place where you live and you're dealing with the same thing. So what I'm telling you is people do want to live in California or expensive places. They're willing to work 2 jobs because when they're off their job, they can go hike. They can go to the beach. They can go out with friends. They can go outside. They can go snowboard. They can go wine tasting. They can just drive up the coast. They can do a gazillion things here that maybe when it's winter somewhere else, they walk outside, they're like, it's snowing, I can't do anything. So what I'm saying is that affordability, it's always going to be a problem. It's always going to be a problem in these types of places because it's always been a problem. I've watched videos from 1970, 1980, all the way up till today that really people repost about real estate and having problems. It's always been affordability. But I think the biggest thing that the government needs to focus on is that, hey, people work differently. People have side hustles, all different, and they get paid many different ways. The problem is because it's not under this cookie cutter standard way that you don't calculate, you can't use it. You can't use the roommate's income or they give them. You can't use this side hustle, that side hustle, this because maybe it's sporadic or it's not consistent or how they work. And what it is, it's a problem because people that work in places like this that need to be able to afford a house are going to house hack it, get roommates or have side gigs, and they're okay with it. They're okay with it. They're used to it, and that's what we got to do. As you watch this video, I'm going to tell you over and over again. These are great ideas. You got to change so many rules and regulations and all that stuff. What I'm telling you is the low-hanging fruit is the people that you can literally dig down is the people that work multiple jobs, have multiple side hustles, or have roommates, or people that live with them and all that stuff. How can we figure out and focus on that? Because it's really happening and we cannot use all their income. I can't tell you how many people I get where they have a side hustle or something. Or like, we can't use it because it doesn't fit that regular thing. Even on the non-gym side, it's very tough. So why not focus on that? Because that's here, that's real, and that's how people want to buy a house. Anyways, guys, as always, I appreciate your time. Share this video with somebody. I know portable mortgages sound exciting. I think the likelihood of them happening are going to be very slim to none because it's a lot of work. It's a nightmare and it would never get done. It's probably done in this administration. Maybe. I don't want to say never, but my guess is never. But anyways, happy holidays. The year's coming into close quickly, but hey, if I can help you, reach out. And I know everybody's waiting for those rates to drop. Stay tuned here. I'll always give you the updates. Anyways, peace, love, happiness. Talk to you guys soon.